In this introductory session on operations management, we will be dealing with what is operations management and what are its objectives. That is, what is operations management and what are its objectives, what is the need to study operations management from the point of view of academics as well as from the point of view of a career option, a point of view of industry. Why do we need to study operations management? What are the different inputs that I will gain by studying operations management? What are the different areas that operations management will cover? How does operations management relate to other areas of management? The other functional areas of management like human resource management, marketing management, we have financial management. Now, how does this operations management relate to the other functional areas of management? Is operations management an exclusive function, that is, doesn't relate to other areas of management, or is it inclusive of other areas of management, which means it is dependent or it is running in sync or in synchronization with other areas of management? Are all these functional areas of management going hand in hand for the success of the organization? What are the different functions of operations management? If I study operations management, or if I get into the operations management team when I get into a job tomorrow, this could be some of the basic questions which the students might have in mind. What are the different functions of management? If I become an operations manager in an industry tomorrow, what would be the different areas which I might supervise or which I might be given charge? I might be in charge of any one of these functions of operations management. I need to understand now what are the different functions of operations management. What are the different perspectives of operations management? Now, are there different views in which we can look at operations management? What are the different areas or what are the different schools of thoughts which look into operations management as an option for growth, both from the point of view of academics as well as from the point of view of career or industry? What are the trends and challenges in operations management? Now, any function or any functional area always faces challenges, and changing time or changing scenarios also bring in changes in the levels of requirements of the outside world. Does these challenges change with changing trends? So what was a challenge say 10 years back need not be a challenge now. What was a trend some 10 years back may have changed now. Now we may be seeing a new trend. Similarly, as a functional area, operations management, is it the same as it was when it was in the evolutionary stages, when it first evolved, or has it been subjected to changes, new challenges? So these are some of the concepts, or these are some of the areas which we'll be covering in the subsequent sessions. How do we tackle these trends? How do we tackle these challenges? How can I be a successful operations manager? Now, if I understand the basic answers to these 5 questions listed here, now I can very well say that all of you are on the right track to understand operations management. And once you understand this, it's all on application. Whatever concepts you understand has to be applied in the industry. So make use of these sessions, understand the concepts one by one as we keep on discussing, and see how it can be applied in the real world, in the industry. Now, before proceeding, what is operations? What does the term operations mean? Is operations just a functional area? Is it just a function or an area which is just running parallelly with other functional areas of management? Does it cover any additional activities which are relevant to the industry? How does operations contribute to the overall success of an organization? Let us see one by one. First, we'll understand the meaning of the word operations. The term operations refers to a function or a system that transforms inputs into outputs of greater value. Please note, the term operations refers to a function or a system that transforms inputs into outputs of greater value. You can see here, it is evident that operations is defined as a function or a system. What does it do? It transforms. It does something to inputs to convert it into outputs with some value addition. What are inputs? Any system, there will be inputs. Anything that comes in to the system is the input, and anything that goes out is the output. So these inputs which come have to be transformed into outputs with some value addition. Some value creation or some value addition has to be done into the inputs, so that when it comes out of the system, the person who is using it should feel that yes, there is a value addition. Now, how can these inputs be transformed into outputs? There has to be a process. So this term operations here refers to that function or a system that transforms these inputs into outputs of greater value. We'll understand this in the subsequent sessions when we see the different perspectives of operations. Operations is also defined as a transformation or a conversion process wherein inputs such as materials, machines, labor and capital are transformed into outputs. Now, we saw that there is a transformation process which converts the inputs into outputs. Now, how does that conversion or the transformation take place? This takes place because of a conversion or a transformation process. Inputs are converted into outputs through a transformation or a conversion process by utilizing the resources available. Every organization has limited resources in the form of men in the sense men and women, human resource. We generally refer to them as human resource, materials, machines, labor and capital. Now these resources are utilized to engage in the transformation or the conversion process so that the inputs are converted into outputs. Now what are these outputs? These outputs could be both goods and services. Goods and services. Goods are the physical objects or the tangible objects. Services are intangible in nature, that is, they cannot be touched or they cannot be sensed unless they are experienced. For example, if I can just touch a chalk piece, or I can just a mobile phone for example. It has a physical appearance. It can be touched, it can be sensed. But a service, say for example, you go to a restaurant or you go to a service center and service your automobile. The service does not have a physical form. It is intangible in nature, yet the service center offers you something. In return, you pay them something. Provided your services are done intact as per your satisfaction, you complete the transaction by paying something in return. So we'll understand the difference between goods and services again in the next slide. In a productive system, if the outputs are strictly tangible goods, tangible here again, the word tangible has come here. We'll understand it in the next slide, what tangible means. In a productive system, if the outputs are strictly tangible goods, such a system is referred as a production system, and the transformation process is called as or referred to as production. Now, if the outputs that come out of the system, operation system, are tangible, have a physical form, that is, they have a physical form, such a system is referred to as a production system, and the transformation process is referred to as production. So production of say mobile phones for example, or production of say any confectionery item, or production of say your beverage in a say bottling unit. So there are various outputs which come out of it which are tangible in nature. You can see a number of crates or number of pallets of bottled beverages. They have a physical, they are a physical entity, they have a physical presence, so they are tangible goods. Similarly, you can have cell phones coming out of in lots out of a particular line, assembly line. Those have a physical, they can be sensed physically, they have a physical appearance, they have a physical existence, so they are referred to as tangible goods, and such a system is referred to as a production system, and the process is referred to as production process. Now the service system in which the output is a service is also treated as a productive system, but is referred to as an operating system instead of a production system. In a service industry, for example, as I told you, restaurant, you go there with the intention of having some food or to spend some time. Go to a restaurant, order something, the waiter comes, takes your order and serves you whatever you have ordered. You have your meal. You are either satisfied or dissatisfied depending upon the service offered. Though the satisfaction level depends on what are the physical entities given to you. For example, the different courses or different dishes that you have ordered, yes, they have a physical entity, they are a physical entity, they have a physical existence, but then those could not be the only factors on which you judge the satisfaction levels of the service. The satisfaction levels can also be judged in addition to the physical entities, that is the dishes offered to you, as well as the service that is offered by the waiter. Similarly, when you are traveling, for example airlines, or in a railway, you are traveling through railways, there are different aspects. There are both tangible and intangible, tangible and intangible parts of the service which might satisfy you or dissatisfy you depending upon the magnitude and the effort or the level of service. So here a production system refers to an operation system where the output is tangible, whereas an operating system is a system where the output is intangible. But nowadays the term operations includes both tangible as well as intangible goods. So here the term, whenever we say operations management will deal with both tangible as well as intangible products. A product can be a tangible good or it can be a service. So operations here refers to both production as well as operating systems. Operations management deals with production systems as well as operating systems. Please keep this in mind. Let us see some basic differences between goods and services. Services are usually intangible, whereas goods are tangible. We have already discussed this. Services are usually judged after the entire service is over. You can give a feedback on service only once the service is over, because the entire offering of service is intangible in nature, whereas goods are tangible in nature. Second, services are often produced and consumed simultaneously. The services cannot be stored, whereas goods can be produced and stored or inventoried before consumption or use. Services are often unique, one time. They are very unique. That is, services offered depend upon the person who is offering service. So it has a uniqueness in it which the goods don't have. The goods, for example, there can be goods which same standardized goods can be offered again and again. If I like a particular good today, I will order for the same, and for same specifications I might get a same lot of goods next time. But services, we cannot guarantee that. A service offered today might differ minutely in the next service. So we cannot say that service which is offered today will be exactly of the same type the next time. So that's why we say services are often unique. Services have high customer interaction because the point of contact in services is on 1:1 basis. So services are often difficult to standardize. It's very difficult to standardize and automate because customer interaction demands uniqueness. So every customer might have a different requirement. Even if it is the same requirement, the different customers will behave in a different way. So the service provider will have to keep into mind the expectations as well as the behavioral of the customer. So what happens, this makes the service highly customer interaction oriented. So the service product may have to be customized in most of the service offerings. So what this word customization and standardization means is, the term standardization means you standardize a particular procedure and it is common to all. That is, you say this is our procedure, you have to follow this. So usually products have a specification. So these specifications, or whoever wants a particular product to satisfy his need or wants, need to actually first see what the standardization is and then go for that particular product. Whereas services need to be customized. So because each customer's requirement, even though it's the same, the way he behaves, the way things appeal to him might be different. A person who likes a particular aspect of a service, say aspect A or part A of a particular service, might not like part B, whereas another customer would like part B of the service rather than part A. So it's very difficult to standardize these services. So that's another major difference. Services have high customer interaction, therefore it's very difficult to standardize. So they need to be customized in most of the service offerings. Services are often knowledge based. Few examples could be educational institutions, healthcare organizations, legal and consultancy firms and services, and therefore they are very difficult to standardize and automate. That is very difficult to standardize. So most of the time services are customized. Services are frequently dispersed because services may have to be delivered to the client or the customer at his or her place or office, a retail outlet, or even at the residence of the customer or the client. Goods can be inventoried and can be resold, whereas reselling of services is unusual and services cannot be inventoried. Some aspects of quality of goods are measurable, whereas many aspects of quality of services are difficult to measure. So it's a very important point here. The quality of goods are measurable, whereas many aspects of the quality of services are very difficult to measure. Of course, there are qualitative measures to measure, say, based on some scales, what is the level of satisfaction. You must have filled in feedback form sometimes when you come out of a service station or when you come out of an outlet. They might be offering you, how are you satisfied with the customer service, give your rating, feedback on the experience at say a service outlet, something like that. So it's very, very difficult to measure the quality of services, whereas quality of goods can be measured, because they are all products, they have physical existence, so you can have specifications, judge, and then make a quality test to check whether the specifications are conforming to the standards set. But it's very difficult, first of all, setting a template or setting a standard for quality of services is itself difficult, and also difficult to measure the level of how this particular offered service has matched with the standard. It's very difficult. That's why we say again and again, we reiterate the point that services are very difficult to be standardized, and hence the quality of services are very difficult to measure. What are the objectives of operations management? We'll now look at some objectives. The major objective, or one of the most important objectives of operations management, is maximum customer satisfaction. How? Through delivering quality, reliability, cost, and delivery time. So we'll be going through each of these terms: quality, reliability, cost, and delivery time. So a customer satisfaction, these are just some of the attributes or some of the points of customer satisfaction. A customer satisfaction could even be through, we have seen, to both the tangible as well as the intangible aspects of the product. So here we first say the maximum customer satisfaction, the objective of operations management here. The first objective, maximum customer satisfaction through quality, reliability, cost, and delivery time. Minimum scrap or rework resulting in better product quality. Again, this deals with the production process. Minimum possible inventory levels, that is storage levels. Inventory here refers to raw materials, that is the inputs which we have discussed. The in process, work in process, that is the materials, the inputs are now transformed. We have seen there is a transformation process. So the inputs are the raw materials, and once the raw materials are into the process to get processed, they are in the pipeline. So we call them as the work in process or in process materials. So your inventory levels could be raw materials, work in progress or work in process, or the outputs in the sense the finished products. So there are three different classifications of inventory levels. One is the inputs, second one is the in process or in progress materials, third one is the finished goods or the outputs. So we need to now have optimum inventory level. A close monitoring of the inventory levels is of utmost importance. That is another objective of operations management. Now, maximum utilization of all kinds of resources needed. You have seen the transformation process is not possible without the utilization of the resources. That is the human resource, materials, machines, and money. And also effective methods. So methods are also very important. How you utilize this. Yes, you might have the best of resources, but if the methodology, the usage of them is not done in a proper way, you might not get the results. So the maximum utilization of all kinds of resources needed. Minimum cash outflow. Yes, cash, very important. The outflow of cash, your expenditure should not, at a point of, there will be a point where you will have to check whether your outflow is going, your cash outflow is exceeding your inflows. That is, whatever is going out of your pocket, if at all times, whenever you do a check, the outflow, the more amount goes out of your pocket than what comes in, then you need to seriously think about it. So that's another very important objective of operations management. Maximum employee satisfaction. Now this employee satisfaction part, how can an employee be satisfied? An employee can be satisfied if he is motivated enough. Now, though this particular objective also is dealt upon or also is looked upon by the human resource management, motivational levels, etc., looked upon by the human resource management team. But here the employee satisfaction level, here if the procedure, working procedure, especially dealing with working procedures, the other areas of location, facility planning, the scheduling, and allocation of work. When these things are all done according to the schedule of operations management, the employees will be satisfied. So keeping the employees satisfied to the maximum extent is another objective of operations management. Maximum possible production, that is outputs, maximum possible production. Of course there's a limitation to this. What is maximum? Maximum is you can go on producing maximum, but you need to also look at what is the demand. You cannot go on producing maximum amounts and then ponder or have a headache on the storage part. You produce maximum, then you find out that it's impossible for you to store it, then you get a new headache that where to store it. There are also storage costs involved. So when I say maximum possible production, it means the optimum. Optimum in the sense, optimum, whatever resources you have, based on the resources that you have, what is the best possible production level. I should not fall short tomorrow. I have a demand at the last moment. When I go through the material levels, look at the inventory levels, I find out that I am facing a shortage. Then it's very difficult for me to maintain that or to cater to that demand. So close monitoring of the inventory system, also maximizing the possible production, that is another objective of operations management. Higher operating efficiency. Now efficiency here refers to, again all of us know efficiency is output by input. Output by input is efficiency, but this thing here, operating efficiency here, refers to how efficiently you have utilized your operating resources, the men, materials, machine, etc. Now what was required, what was the available resources, based on the available resources, have I utilized these available resources in the right way to get the right output? So I would always like to have higher operating efficiency. Minimum production cycle time. Yes, getting high operating efficiency, improving upon operating efficiency is one thing, but at the same time I need to have minimum production cycle time. I cannot consume all my productive time in, say, carrying on the production, the different cycles of production. I need to complete a set of operations required to manufacture a particular product, which we call it as a cycle, in the shortest possible time, so that I can utilize the remaining time for some other purpose. It could be for maintenance, it could be for some other scheduling, or something like that. So minimum production cycle time is another objective of operations management. Maximum possible profit or return on investment. Maximum possible profit. Now maximum profit, yes, maximum possible profit, yes, if my sales revenues, my revenues, I have to sell as much as possible. How can I sell as much as possible? Only when the customer requires it. When will the customer come back for me with more demand? When I satisfy him with my previous sales. So that's another aspect which I have to look at now. The maximum possible profit and return on investment. I have invested something on setting up a unit for production. Now I should get the return on that investment through customer goodwill, customer satisfaction, as well as monetary aspects. So that is also another aspect which I have to look at. And then very important, especially in today's scenario, concern for protection of environment. We day by day, we are now at a stage where it sooner or later we might exhaust all our environmental, whatever environmental resources we are utilizing. Very soon we might exhaust all of them, so it may be a very dangerous situation for us. So concern for protection of environment is another thing. Safety is one concern. The concerned authorities need to look at the protection of ecology and environment, and also look at society, the protection of the environment, not only from the point of view of the organization, protection of environment from the point of view of society. So that is also important. That is another objective of operations management. And then finally, maximum possible productivity. So this productivity, maximum possible productivity, we'll discuss about productivity in the subsequent sessions.